Okay, Kiersten, tell us a little bit about your Genius Hour project that you created.
My Genius Hour project was on autism awareness, and my friend Kelly and I decided that we wanted to learn more about it and how it affects teens and just create awareness within it.
So, what kind of steps did you take to create that awareness?
Well, we first created our outline of what we wanted to do, and then we made questions, and then we researched the questions. But I think the biggest thing for us was getting the hands on experience with the kids.
How did that inquiry um, help you with understanding of, say, um, school, your standards, writing, reading? How did that inquiry help you?
I think it really helps me because you need to have the research before you can really get started on anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, knowing what I'm talking about and knowing what I'm doing just makes it a lot easier for me to get stuff done.
How did technology impact your experience?
I don't really like researching off books because I get bored, so I think that using the computer and getting like articles and sources off of the computer helped me more than books itself.
Mm-hmm. Um, what, if anything, do you know now that you didn't know before? Think about, can you do things now that you couldn't do before? Or what do you think has been the most influence on you?
I think now for me, one of the biggest things is I always went for the A grade, and now that I know as long as I give my effort as much as I can, it doesn't matter if I fail because you can learn from failure.
Okay. Um, what were some of the unwritten skills you had to use to achieve your goals in your Genius Hour or your inquiry project?
Not procrastinating, and probably another one would be keeping on task.
Okay. Um, say more about not procrastinating. What were you before Genius Hour, and then what are you now?
Before Genius Hour, I like to do everything at the last possible minute because I work good under pressure. Now I like to do it like if I have a huge project, I know that I can't wait for the night before. I have to work on it continuously and not do it all in one day.
Okay. Tell me what Genius Hour did for your self-esteem, for yourself as a person, and for yourself as a learner.
It really just blew my mind some of the things that I learned within Genius Hour, and I think that with my like view of myself changed because I never realized how lucky I was that I wasn't born with autism. Like, I never thought about it that way, and I just realized how blessed I was that I didn't have that and I didn't have to deal with all of the difficulties that come along with it. And then within learning processes, I think I just grew. I learned a lot of stuff, and I don't think I'm just gonna it's not in one ear and out the other. It's stuff I'm gonna learn and keep with me for the rest of my life.
So I'm hearing that you learned a lot of stuff. We did this back in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
What has carried over into your new school year with you based on these experiences that you can think of?
I know that from 8th grade to high school, it's a big transition, but it wasn't as hard as I thought it'd be. It's a lot of the same stuff. We're using a lot of the same skills that we did, and it's just on a higher level. So I think that a lot of the skills that I learned in your classroom helped me just get ready for high school.
Can you think of a skill in specifics that translated really well for you in your learning process?
In your class, we did a lot of talking. We did a lot of presentations, and in the beginning of the year, I wasn't exactly I was shy about those, and I wasn't prepared. But now I'm perfectly fine presenting, and I don't have a problem with it at all.
Okay. What was the most interesting aspect of using inquiry throughout our year last year, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I really liked when we did the monster, when we did it off of a book, because I'm a huge reader. So I think that for me, it's easy to get a lot of stuff from books that not as many other people get, because I read so much that it's just, I understand it better. So it's easier to get questions off of that.
Comprehension comes very naturally to you, but we mix comprehension with inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say about that?
I think that if you understand it, you're better able to get better questions and deeper questions that can really just get further into the process.
Let's talk about creativity. How did this inquiry process last year impact your creativity as a learner, as a person?
I think that it made me realize that you couldn't just do like on the level. Like you have to go deeper and you have to really search for what you want, and you can't just barely scrape the surface. You have to dive into it, and you have to like open up your mind for all possibilities.
Talk about collaboration in your inquiry experiences. You can talk about when we worked with Walter Dean Meyer's Monster. You can talk about your Genius Hour. You can talk about both. How did collaboration factor into those inquiry pieces?
Well, I think within Monster, when we were doing the videos and we had to interview other people, I think that helped us get some stuff from that. And then also working within each other and not fighting and getting stuff done and not just messing around. And then within Genius Hour, you're stuck with the person that you choose as your partner for a long time, and you have to be able to get along with them. And I think that Kelly and I, we may have had our off days with each other, but in the end, our friendship grew throughout it as long as our learning did.
So did that translate, did collaboration translate for you this year as a freshman, being in new classes with new kids of all different types of grade levels, and when you're asked to be in a collaborative setting, has this translated for you? And if it has, what has translated?
I think it has. Like, I think I developed better social skills in this class, so when I have to collaborate with other people, I'm not as shy about it. Like, I can go up to people and I can talk to them and I can start a conversation, and if I have to work with you on a project, I know what I'm doing and I know how to do it.
Let's talk about engagement and being engaged, not wedding, but being engaged, like class-wise, you know, really getting into it, getting the focus into it, being active and really liking what you're doing. Can you speak to the engagement that you had when working with inquiry?
Yeah. For some people, they struggled with the engagement part and paying attention in class, but I don't really think that I struggled that much with it. As long as you paid attention and you tried to, like, give some to the rest of the class so that they can help their learning, it helps your learning as well.
What was the one part that you remember the most that really drives things home for you? And this kind of goes along with engagement. It wouldn't have mattered anything else happening, math, social studies, nothing else really mattered except for what you were doing with your Genius Hour or with the Monster Inquiry or whatever, you know. What was the highest point of engagement for you throughout that time?
I think the highest point of engagement for me would have been like when Kelly and I went over to elementary school with our day with the autistic kids. Mm-hmm. And I think that was really our highest level of engagement because it was a hands-on thing and we were really just trying to take in our surroundings and see everything that's different there.
Mm-hmm. What was the most challenging aspect of this? Because we could talk about all really great things, but what was the challenge?
I think for me it was the blogging, because I know it goes up on here and sometimes I can say it, like putting it into words on a computer makes it difficult for me. So like I'd have to talk with Kelly and we'd both struggle with the blog, so like we'd have to talk to each other about like what happened and get both of our ideas in there, and I think that helped when we talked it out. But when it was just me and Kelly wasn't there, blogging was definitely a struggle.
Okay. Talking to somebody who's never done anything like this before, what could you say to them?
You have to keep your mind open and you have to be ready for all possibilities, and you can't be closed-minded about it because there's a lot of things that you learn and there's some things that you're not going to be comfortable with or that you haven't done before, so keeping an open mind, it will help you within the process.